So today I'll be doing a video discussing Fairy Tail Next Generation, because if you guys haven't heard the news, Fairy Tail Next Generation has literally been confirmed by the author of Fairy Tail, known as Hiro on Twitter. He said that if enough people request it, he will continue Fairy Tail and he will make a Fairy Tail Next Generation. Now, this is huge news for the Fairy Tail fandom because we've always been waiting for a new Fairy Tail time skip series. If you guys haven't known, we do have Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest ongoing right now, but that's not necessarily a time skip. That's more of a continuation of the main story. We want a time skip where there's going to be kids involved, where there's going to be a next generation of new characters, and our main man Hiro Mashima literally confirmed it on Twitter that if we get enough people to request it, which obviously the Fairy Tail fandom, we're gonna just be all in his inbox once Fairy Tail is over and telling him to make Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest, so he doesn't have to worry about the request. But the fact that he admitted to being able to make it right after Fairy Tail is done is good news for Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest. And today I'm going to be discussing, I meant to say Fairy Tail Next Generation, not 100 Year Quest, but today I'm going to be discussing why Fairy Tail Next Generation is going to be one of the greatest works of Fairy Tail. Now, when we look at Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest, we know that it mainly does revolve around the main cast of characters. It's not really focused on the whole guild of Fairy Tail as a whole. And I think that Fairy Tail Next Generation will follow that cast, and they will introduce a main set of characters, and they will only really focus around them. I don't think they're going to do the whole guild, but starting off, we already know of Nashi Dragneel. Now, I don't want to talk about Nashi Dragneel for so long because we all know of how hyped she is. I mean, she was the first person who was confirmed of the new generation, non-canonly and canonly, and we've seen that she's going to be very overpowered. She's going to have the abilities of Natsu and Lucy potentially, which is going to be a Celestial Spirit Mage Master and a pure Dragon Slayer, first generation Dragon Slayer. So her power is definitely going to be there, but a lot of people were questioning what's her personality is going to be like. Is she going to be like Natsu or Lucy? Me personally, I hope she has a perfect blend of both, just so that she isn't like a carbon copy of either or. So I definitely am excited to see what her personality is going to be like, but her magic power is probably the most interesting thing because we don't know if she's going to be a pure Celestial Spirit Mage Master, like if she's as skilled as Lucy, or is she going to be somebody who can use Fire Dragon Slayer magic like easily like that, or will she be able to use both? So the possibilities for Nashi Dragneel is definitely very hype, and it's definitely very, very limitless for what this character will be able to bring to the table. But a lot of people were asking me, do I think that Natsu and Lucy are going to have a son along with Nashi Dragneel? Me personally, I can definitely see this happening, just because if they do end up having a son, he could definitely be like the Natsu 2.0 of the series, and it would give Nashi Dragneel her own lane to develop and become her own character without trying to be like anybody else due to, like, you know, Natsu's popularity or anything. Because I'm pretty sure people are still going to want Natsu in the series, even in the next generation. So if they do introduce a son, it will be a great way to have somebody who's very similar to Natsu in the series. And I do want to see a son of Natsu x Lucy. So we do have Nashi Dragneel confirmed, but if you're asking me, I definitely do believe that she needs a brother. And speaking of brothers, the next child that I want to discuss is Storm Fullbuster, or should I say Gray's child, because technically we don't know the name of him, but Storm Fullbuster is like the main name that people are giving for Gray's child. I don't know if Hiro Mashima said that earlier on in an interview or anything, but we know that Gray's looked at to only have one child right now, and to be honest, I can see this happening 100%, Gray being the only child, or Gray having one child, just because him and Juvia's abilities are so similar with the ice and water, so it's not really too much abilities that you can give him. I am interested to see how he's going to develop with the demon slaying magic, because we know that Silver, he passed it down to Gray, so Gray, he's obviously going to pass it down to his son, and I definitely am excited to see what they're going to do with demon slaying magic, and they can expand on it from the beginning, unlike how they did with Fairy Tail. Obviously, since Gray didn't have the magic, they weren't able to expand on it, you know, get into deep with it like how they did with Dragon Slayer magic. But since they're going to have a Devil Slayer magic or Devil Slayer user in the group from the beginning, it's going to be very interesting. And the only thing that I have to say with Storm Fullbuster is that his design, like his character outline and everything's looking dope. The only thing that I hope that they don't do is make him a Gray copy, because he is looking a lot like Gray. I mean, his personality, I don't know what it's gonna be like. I hope it's not like his. We see that he kind of has like a little droopy face, so I am interested to see how they make this character turn out to be. Now, the next child, or should I say the potential child that I want to discuss, is Erza and Jellal's child. And this is actually going to be a curveball, but I don't think they're going to have a kid. Yes, you heard it here first. I do not believe Jellal and Erza are not going to have a kid. Now, I'm not saying this because I don't think they're going to get together. Obviously, they're in love with each other, but we know the type of person that Jellal is. He is always on the move. He's always trying to do new missions to atone for his sins. Hell, we seen that he's the one that uncovered Toka's real identity. And if it wasn't for Jellal doing all this extra stuff, then Fairy Tail, they would not be in the position where they are to go up against Toka. So we know that Jellal, he's always working. He's kind of like how Sasuke is in Boruto. Like how Sasuke is always gone and always working. That's how Jellal is. And I definitely do think that he would not have the time to settle down and get with Erza and actually have a kid. And I don't think he'll let him do that to himself either, because we know how Jellal basically sees himself as a great sinner. And I don't think he's going to let himself indulge with the woman that he loves. And I can see Jellal actually leaving. Not necessarily leaving like Fairy Tail, but just, go off and doing his own thing. I do think that him and Erza will still be in contact, but I don't know if these two are going to have a kid. And if they do have a kid, I could see it being somewhere way down the line, once Jallal's like retired. So as shocking as it may sound, I do not think that Erza and Jellal will have a kid for the next generation, just because of Jallal's character and knowing how he is. He probably won't want to do it. And let's just be honest, if they did have a kid, this would be the most overpowered kid in all of anime history, because she would have the ability, he or she would have the ability to get Erza's re-equip magic, along with the possibility of Erza's, Dragon Slayer magic, because we know Irene is her grandmother, and that was one of the first Dragon Slayers, so it could definitely hop into her bloodline, plus Jallal's vast, majority knowledge of magic, everything that Jellal knows. That would just be too damn good for one kid to have. So I definitely do think that if Erza and Jellal did have a child, he would definitely turn out to be the strongest of all. And the canon relationship that we got revealed to for Next Generation is Gajeel and Levy. And to be honest, I am most excited for this couple's kids, just because, number one, we already got hinted at them when Gajeel was about to die. He had his whole life planned out ahead of him. He wanted 2 kids, everything about it. So I definitely am excited to see what they can do. And I definitely do think that the boy of their kids will be either similar to Gajeel and Levy, maybe similar to Levy if Hiro Mashima decides to, flip around the whole personality. Or he could keep them similar to Gajeel. And I'm gonna be honest, this is one pairing where I actually hope that the kids turn out somewhat similar to their parents. Like, I'm not saying I want him to be a Gajeel 2.0 or a Levy 2.0, but I believe that those characters are the most needed for the next generation. These two, they're gonna have kids who can bring so much development to the table, with somebody being able to use an ability like Levy's, all her vast knowledge with magic. That she was one of the smarter mages, and if she passes that down to one of her kids, it would definitely be one of the more useful ones. And Gajeel, he can give birth to a Dragon Slayer kid that could be as smart as Levy. So you guys see the potential that the kids have. And I definitely do have to say that this will most likely be the oldest child of the Fairy Tail Next Generation, which is going to be hype, because we know Levy is already pregnant. So it is going to be dope seeing Gajeel's son or his daughter. I think he's going to have a son. Me personally, I think that he's going to be kind of like the leader, or at least one of the older ones of the next generation. So it definitely is going to be cool things to see. And the potential kid that I want to discuss is Laxus and Mirajane's kid, because they were actually hinted at getting together at the end of Fairy Tail. So who's not to say that these two will end up having a kid together? And these two, they're more older than the other Fairy Tail members. We know that these two, they were kind of introduced and they were already looked at as a higher, reputation than Natsu and the others. So it wouldn't make sense too. These are like the old heads of the guild linking up and finally get together. But this child can have a lot of development for Laxus Laxus's character, because we've seen how far Laxus has came from the beginning of Fairy Tail, and we know his issues that he has with his father. Obviously, his father is the one that gave him the lacrima for the Dragon Slayer, and he basically wanted to use Laxus, and Laxus was like, I'm not having any of that. He wanted to basically cut all ties with him, and I definitely do think that Laxus's his development with his son could be one of the greatest things in Fairy Tail, just because it's going to help out his character, and this could be a chance for the continuation of the second generation Dragon Slayers, because I'm not going to lie, they haven't been getting any love since Cobra's introduction. So I definitely do think that Laxus, he'll be able to make another second generation Dragon Slayer, but this time he'll actually be able to train him, you know, make sure that he doesn't use his powers the wrong way like how Laxus used his. And I definitely do think it's going to be dope, and not to mention the fact that he's going to have Beast Soul magic thanks to Mirajane. So a Dragon Slayer that can use Beast Soul magic, that is definitely going to be very hyped up. And the most exciting thing, or one of the most exciting things about the next generation for Fairy Tail, is Wendy, because I believe she's going to be like the big sister or the new leader type of role for Fairy Tail, because obviously she's going to still be a teenager when, you know, the next generation happens. So she's going to have all the experience of hanging out with Natsu and all those guys. And by the time the next generation happens, I believe they're going to be gone. So Wendy, she's going to be like the new Erza in a sense, where she's going to be very overpowered. She's going to be looked at as the new leader. I don't think she's going to be a guild leader, but she's going to be one of the main figureheads of the next generation. And I definitely do think that Wendy, she is going to be very hyped. Now, just because we're talking about pairings, I wanted to touch up on it. A lot of people think that Wendy and Shelly are going to get together, you know, be one of the first LGBT couples in Fairy Tail. I don't know if that's going to necessarily be true. I could see why people would think that, but I don't think Hiro Mashima is going to do that. I don't know. He could do it. Listen, we know how much of a troll Hiro Mashima is, so I'm not ruling him out, ruling him making Wendy and Shelly get together. I'm not ruling that out, but some people do think that Wendy and Romeo could actually get together. You know, obviously they both look up to Natsu a lot. Romeo, he went and learned fire magic just because of Natsu, and I definitely can see that happening. The only thing is that they would have to give more development to Romeo before the relationship actually happened, because if we just started off the next generation and her and Romeo were like all lovey-dovey, I would be like, yeah, where's the development for this? And the last thing I wanted to discuss for the new kids, which is a couple of the other guilds members who's going to actually have new kids, like Rogue and Minerva. I do believe that their child's going to be hyped, just because it's going to be like the child of darkness. Obviously Minerva, she has a lot of dark things to her past, and Rogue, he uses darkness for his Dragon Slayer magic. So definitely do think that's going to be dope. And Sting and Yukino, I'm gonna be honest, this will be the bootleg Natsu X Lucy. Like, this will literally be like the off-brand version of Natsu X Lucy. I mean, come on, you got a Dragon Slayer getting with a Celestial Spirit. Sting obviously looked up to Natsu. Yukino, yo, she's just, you know, a father Celestial Spirit. But no, in all seriousness, I do think that it's just gonna be like Natsu and Lucy 2.0. The child, he could have potential just because he's going to be a Celestial Spirit mage and a Dragon Slayer, but I don't see them doing too much with this character. And I know some of you guys must be thinking, okay, the characters sound dope, it sounds lit, all of this stuff, but underrated mage, what about the plot? Because we know the plot is important to any series, whether it's Fairy Tail or anything. And me personally, I am excited for this plot, because the main overall thing, which I believe it could be about, is I think they'll use this chance to stop God Anksaram, the god who cursed Zeref and Mavis. I do believe that he could be the final villain of the series, and they could also use this time to explore the mass majority world of Fairy Tail, because Fairy Tail is such a big world. Hiro Mashima did a good job at world building, but he just didn't show off all the world. I think that he was saving that for Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest and for Fairy Tail Next Generation, because we already see in Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest they're starting to expand and go to a lot of the different worlds, or not worlds, but the different continents that they didn't go to before. I said worlds like it was Kingdom Hearts. But no, in all seriousness, we see that Hiro Mashima, he's been doing a good job at world building. So I definitely do think it'll be a chance for him to not only take out a villain that's been introduced way early on in God Anksaram, but he'll finally be able to show off the world with his world building. I definitely do think it's going to be cool and hype stuff. But overall, what do you guys think about the thoughts of Fairy Tail Next Generation? Leave a like if you guys are excited for it. And if you guys want me to do longer videos like this, 15-minute videos, you know, I definitely will try to do it, because I have been trying to do longer videos and I don't know, they've just been, I've always wanted to do them. I don't know if you guys want to see them. So yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed the longer videos like this. Comment what you guys see down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace out.